Hey everybody, my name is LaPrecious and welcome to my channel. Let's talk with LaPrecious. So I just got done watching Hazel E and Masika's The Conversation episode on the Zeus network. And so I'm going to review it. Starting out, I had to take some notes because a lot was going on. So in the beginning, we had Hazel E talk, and Hazel E was pretty much talking in the background with her friend. They were talking about the things that Masika and Hazel E have been dealing with. Hazel E, according to Hazel E, she said she put Masika in her position. She was saying that at the time when she was doing Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, Mona Scott had asked her who would be the strongest person on the show or who would be like the hoe of the show. And so Hazel E had said that Masika would fit the role. Then she was saying that Masika had used her. Masika had pretty much used her for clout, used her for attention, and used her for a position on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. And then she started talking about the whole Young Bird and Masika situation. So, long story short, rewind until season 1 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. So Hazel Lee and Young Bird were seeing each other, but for clarity and for honesty, Hazel Lee and Young Bird were not a couple. The thing was that Hazel Lee wanted Young Bird to be her boyfriend, and he didn't want that. All he wanted her was sex, and that was it. But Hazel Lee wanted more. And as you can see during the episodes of season 1 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, Hazel Lee just didn't want to take no for an answer. Like she would keep popping up in certain places. She would talk about Young Bird to Tierra Marie and other people, and a lot of other people, including Tierra Marie, were telling her that this dude is not your boyfriend, that he doesn't like you like that he doesn't want you like that, and he doesn't see you like that. And Hazel Lee was pretty much in denial about it because Young Bird was not her boyfriend. Young Bird was never her boyfriend. Young Bird didn't want to be her boyfriend, and she just couldn't understand that he just wanted sex from her. He even said that in the scene. And here's where it got messy. She fell out with Masika because she said her and Masika were friends. And here's the issue that Hazel Lee got herself into in season 1 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood was that she tried too hard to be everybody's friend. She was Tierra Marie's friend, Masika's friend, and both of them pretty much ended up turning on her. So that was her mistake there. Now she was talking about Young Berg and Masika and how she felt like Masika had betrayed her because she went out with Young Berg after she wanted to be with Young Berg. And like I said before, Hazel Lee and Young Berg was never a couple. She wanted it to be more than just sex, but that's all it was. But I personally feel like Masika got what was coming to her by her getting with Young Berg because the reason why Young Berg eventually got off the show was because he had beat her up in the hotel room because what happened was that before they were supposed to go on, I think, the second part of the reunion for season 1 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, they said that an altercation happened in the hotel room and Young Bird ended up choking Masika out. And the police had to be called and he was fired. Except Masika, she kept her spot because Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, they wanted to protect their image, so they, said we're not going to condone domestic violence and we're just going to go ahead and fire him. And so that's what they did. Now, moving along from that, she was pretty much talking about how Masika always was talking about her, always was making fun of her, this, that, and the third. But then Masika's scene where she was talking junk about Hazel Lee, she was saying that there never was a beef, that she was the strongest person on the show. She said that she put Hazel Lee on instead of her. And then she was talking about Young Bird and whatnot and how Hazel didn't put her on. Then she was saying Hazel Lee was jealous of her. And then she was talking about how Hazel Lee had a fake agency where, and that's what Hazel Lee was talking about. Masika was pretty much saying that Hazel Lee was saying that Hazel Lee had invented a fake agency where she was signing girls on, putting people on as a way to build credibility for herself, even though it wasn't legitimate. This is what Masika said. Masika also said that Hazel Lee lied about her giving her daughter Xanax, and she said it got so bad that, Child Protective Services had to be called on her, and she almost got her child taken away. Then she also was talking about how people turned on her for clout during this whole scenario, fight or beef between her and Hazel Lee. And then she was talking about how, the the president of the Rose Committee or the Rose Organization that happened with this whole big scandal over the past week. And I go into that too. So what happened was that Masika was pretty much asked to be an ambassador for the Rose Organization, which I believe is a domestic violence organization, or it may be a sex traffic or human trafficking organization. And HazelE, I saw the whole video. She was pretending to have gotten kidnapped and whatnot, and she received a lot of backlash from it. Now, I'm gonna be honest about this whole thing. Masika to me is very immature. She is. She loves to come off as a swan. I'm better than you. I'm beautiful. Men actually like me for me, and I don't have to pay anybody to be with me. I'm not a hoe. I'm not this and I'm not that. But Masika, I think it's time for you to get out of La La Land and wake up and come down off your pedestal, because nobody knows you other than being Fetty Wap's baby mama from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, because that's all you were really known as. And then this is not even the first beef that you got into. You also got into it with Nikki Baby. Plus, since Masika did want to call Hazel E out so bad, and she actually did, not didn't want to, she did it. She called out Hazel E continuously about her situationship with Young Bird. But need I remind y'all, Masika had her own situationship with Molly Mall. So Marlon Mall is pretty much this music producer, which I believe the last time he was in the news, he actually got arrested for having a sex traffic ring in Las Vegas. And I don't know whatever happened to that, but yeah, they was going to lock him up about trafficking girls over there in Las Vegas for prostitution. And so I remember that she was hooking up with Molly Mall, acting like that was her boyfriend, when Molly Mall had Nikki Baby as a girlfriend the whole time. And Masika was pretty much saying that she doesn't give him the box but just the top. And I'm like, Masika, it don't matter if it's the box top or the bag. If you're not being claimed, if it's just sex and y'all are not in a romantic relationship, you just a jump off or a side chick or a situationship friend, like you got on Hazel E so bad for. Because let's be honest, during the first season of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, I couldn't watch it. Yes, I was happy that Omarion and Lil Fizz was on there from B2K, because I mean, before this show, it had been nothing but like rape and child molestation allegations going on with B2K. And Fizz and Boog, they did their little thing with their little EP back in 2009. Then Raspy going all over the internet talking about the rape allegations from Chris Stokes, and then they just came out of nowhere, on the first season of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. So I was here for that. But moving back to Hazel E and Masika, they did do a lot of bullying in the first season of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Hands down, they did. And that's why I didn't like it, because Masika was a bully and Tierra Marie was a very big bully on the first season, because she couldn't leave Ray J alone. She was still caught up on him. He was dating Princess at the time, and Tierra Marie kind of made it her business to pretty much try to interrupt their flow of what they was doing the whole time. And Tierra Marie stayed fighting Princess, stayed fighting with Hazel E. And then there's even a scene where Hazel E decided to move out of the apartment that she shared with Tierra Marie. And Tierra Marie got really upset and mad at her for leaving. I'm like, Tierra, you can't be mad at this girl because she was pretty much tired of you bullying her and talking to her like a dog. And they pretty much argued about that as she was moving her stuff into like the moving truck. So yeah, Hazel E, she kind of suffered a lot during the first season, and Masika is not even all that good of a person anyway, because you were a side chick or a situation friend with Molly Mall when he had Nikki Baby as a girlfriend the whole time. So I'm like, you and Hazel E kind of got a point each for that. So I felt like Masika really couldn't say nothing about that. So now moving on to what else she said, she was talking about how with the whole Rose situation, and I saw the clip of the president of the Rose organization pretty much do that. And I'm glad that you guys are tuning in and watching me. And I do suggest that you guys like this video, leave a comment, go ahead and chat with me in the live chat because I want to hear what you guys said about this, because there's been like a lot of broadcasting about this conversation between Masika and HazelE. So to those of you who are watching me, I want you guys to like talk to me in a live chat as you're watching me and tell me what you guys think or what you guys want me to talk about while I'm doing this live now. So going back to what we're talking about here is the whole Rose situation. I saw the Rose president's response to Masika, but Masika, I'm like, you could have did a lot better than that. You pretty much pretended, and then it didn't even look like you gave an explanation of what you were doing in that whole video and whatnot about, you being trafficked and all that. You pretty much made it look like you were actually being kidnapped or trafficked without any type of major production. And I'm like, you act like you're so much better than everybody and so much bigger than everybody, and you got all this money and you're so blessed and highly favored, like she kept saying during the episode. And I cannot stand people who are outward Christians. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because a lot of times most of them that be saying, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored and a chosen one of the Lord, they're the most heathenest of the hellions that you could ever meet. And Masika so happens to be one of them. And I don't care if anybody is saying that I'm judging, because I have every right to. But I'm like, Masika, you're not better than anybody. Any TV show that you have been on has been you as either a main cast member, or you were just like somebody's potential love interest or the flirt or whatever. And the only type of business you ever had on the TV show was Car Barbie, which was nothing but a little makeup line with little lipsticks and all that kind of stuff. And I have looked at Masika's beauty stuff online, and she does make oils and other hair products and stuff like that. But I'm like, Masika, you act like you were the Keisha Cole of Love and Hip Hop, or the Remy Ma of Love and Hip Hop, or like the Black China of Love and Hip Hop. I'm like, girl, you're not even all that famous and all that big of a person to even have a major focus or a major slot on Love and Hip Hop. Those are the ones that are the it girls. Oh, it was on at 8 o'clock, but it went off now. But when you subscribe to Zeus, you can go back and watch it again. So it's still gonna be there if you didn't watch it. But yeah, Masika, I'm like, you don't even have a main slot like Remy and Keisha Cole did for you to even be acting like you this big bad dog when you're not. So moving along from that, now we get to the actual conversation. So before Hazel E and Masika went out, Ray J, he's like the executive producer of the conversation. So that's pretty much his show on Zeus. He was pretty much telling Hazel E and Masika the rundown, like there's no such thing as backtrack, that's not what he said. He said with Zeus it's authentic, there's no producers, no writers, nothing is like staged. Everything is for real. Okay, would you recommend to buy Zeus for the show? I mean, Zeus would be good. Zeus would be a good thing for you to subscribe to, because if you love like ratchet reality TV shows and stuff, then that's the one for you to go. There's no editing, there's no bleeping out cuss words, there's no blocking out naked body parts or nothing like that. It is raw and uncut. And I noticed from watching Jocelyn's cabaret show, and who else? Black China's the Real Black China show. Yeah, if you like that type of TV and you like that type of entertainment, then yes, I will recommend buying Zeus. Now, Zeus is cheap. It only costs like $3.99 a month. So it's not as much as Hulu, Netflix, and BET Plus and all these other streaming sites. And I know that Disney Plus is $6.99. But yeah, Zeus, I believe when I first subscribed to it, it was $3.99. It might have gone up, but I know it doesn't cost that much. So yeah, Ray J was pretty much giving them the rundown about the rules and regulations and whatnot. And then they sat Hazel E in the chair first. But since Masika was the main dog barking in the show, she had to come in this big Versace dress with the belt. It's like long, blonde, platinum blonde, like kind of wig. And that wig to me was a no. I'm sorry. Every black person, no matter if you dark, light, or brown, Every black person can't rock that platinum blonde hair. You just cannot. And with HazelE, I just felt like she should have went with a darker color because darker hair colors look better on her than that blonde. And I even felt like the man that was styling her hair, and I know this may come off as mean, but he could have finished up her edges and everything. Because I did notice how when he put the wig on her, they could have touched up the lace around the edges. I can't stand that when I'm watching people on these reality TV shows with these lace front wigs, and the foundation is packed so thick on the scalp you could see the lace on the lace front. I'm like, y'all supposed to melt that stuff down and then put the foundation stuff on it so you can't see the lace. And then at least put the baby hairs and stuff around the edges, or at least cut the hair so short that you could just rub it in and all that. I'm like, and y'all black. Like I can't stand that. I'm like, black people, y'all the ones making these shows, and we supposed to be the main ones knowing how to do the hairstyles and the wigs and the lace fronts and stuff, make it look decent. Like seriously, but HazelE, I did like her look. I love the cheetah print gloves where she had her fingers out with her nails, and I did love like the cheetah print tube top dress she had on, and I liked her hair, makeup, and everything. So yeah, she had it. Now moving along to the conversation, HazelE spoke first. She was pretty much talking about the Rose organization scandal that happened in the past. She was talking about how, she put her on TV and everything. Then she was talking about, I heard that you're a sex trafficker, you're a prostitute, da 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 da. That we used to be friends. I thought you were my friend. I thought me and you were close. And that's why I don't understand why this beef is going on. Then, and this is in between her and Masika arguing. So I pretty much wrote down like the key values and the points about it. HazelE was saying, I have more college degrees than you're worth. And Masika was pretty much saying, well, I make more money than any college professor that ever talked to you. And then now the Fetty Wap joke she put out, that was funny. It was. She was like, she said, Masika, you're not better than anybody because you had a baby by a dude with one eye. He see all his other baby mamas. She said he see all his other baby mamas but you. And that was so funny when she said that because Fetty Wap, I mean, come on. HazelE, I feel like HazelE acts like the Don Juana of his baby mamas. She feels like she's the most elegant, the most professional, the most hot to try and everything. But Masika, when you was pregnant with Kari on the show, you had to have to sit down with him at a dinner about how y'all was gonna take care of the child, and you even complained in the confessional about how, I've been pregnant for 8 to 9 months. How come now, since I'm about to have the baby, you want to be cooperative, but the whole time I was pregnant, you couldn't do that? Newsflash, Masika, he don't really care about you like that. And then on top of that, in most recent news, Fetty Wap just got divorced from one of the women that he was with, and now he's on to the next. So I'm like, Masika, if your pussy was so good and so hot and everything, then how come Fetty Wap didn't marry you? Like, that's what I don't get about Masika, because I'm like, Masika, when you had Kari, Fetty had actually got two other women besides her pregnant right after she had Kari. So I'm like, Masika, you live in this disillusioned world where you were the only baby mama and will be the only baby mama of Fetty Wap, and you not. I'm like, this man ain't even checking for you anymore, and he didn't even marry you, and he even got two women pregnant after you. So I'm like, Masika, wake up from that dream that you in, because it's about time you woke up from that. Now, and then it got personal. Well, it's always been personal. And then HazelE was pretty much talking about, well, you've had so much surgery done. You've had your nose, your butt, your stomach, da 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 da. And Masika, she was calling HazelE a dude and her husband Devon a woman. She says that that's your girlfriend, or let alone your boyfriend that you paid to be with you. And she kept calling HazelE, a man, and a man, and how she's a man, and how she has balls underneath her skirt and underneath her dress. And you could tell HazelE, she sounded like she was about to bust out crying. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like Hazel E, she has done some extra stuff, like even in like the latter half episodes of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, she did come off as a little extra. Back on the episode when the West Coast girl, the white girl that was trying to rap when Brooke Valentine and what's the girl who sung that song called Bridget Kelly? Back when Bridget Kelly and the West Coast white girl was on there along with Brooke Valentine was on there. And, Hazel E to me, she was doing a little too much. She was acting more extra. But I don't really blame Hazel E because when you think about it, Hazel E, in my opinion, she looks so much better now since she's had all this surgery than she did in the first season. I mean, nose, lips, body. I mean, she's improved a lot, in my opinion. And hey, beautiful magic. And I'm sure she probably got tired of, people picking on her, bullying her, and all that. And I mean, anybody would. So, of course, that's why she got the work done. And it looks good on her because, in my opinion, despite how other people feel about plastic surgery and being yourself and whatnot, if it's plastic surgery does a lot of people a whole lot of good. They end up looking 10 times better than they did as their original selves, and they even have more social success and monetary success and everything from surgery. So I'm like, if you can get surgery and it up your bank account and up your friends and all of that, then it's cool. Nikki Post, no, you didn't miss it. If you go on Zeus, once they launch their new episodes, they keep it on there because it's a season. So since you didn't catch it when it first premiered at 8 o'clock, then you could go back and just replay it. So no, you didn't miss it. But yeah. And so Hazel E, she looks good with her plastic surgery. Now Masika, on the other hand, and Hazel E got about that too. She said you had your titties done, said you had your someone sent me the YouTube link. Oh, you're welcome, Nikki. The YouTube link now. But sometimes Zeus, because they did it with Tokyo Needs Love or whatever, her first episode. And then when the Real Black China episode had dropped, I know they did put the first two episodes on YouTube. So they might put this episode on YouTube. They might not. Because I know that this episode was like the most highest anticipated episode of Zeus, especially with the conversation thing. Because, a lot of us, hey, King, a lot of us haven't really heard anything about Masika and Hazel E since they were last on the show together with, Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. And so, yeah, Hazel E was pretty much saying how, you've had all this surgery, you've pretty much had your boobs done, your butt done, your nose done. And Masika, like always, no, I haven't. I've only had my titties done. I've had my titties done a couple times, but everything else, is natural. It's all me. And Hazel E was like, well, look at how big your legs are and stuff. She was like, yeah, because I'm muscular, because I work out. Now, I'm going to be honest, from looking at old pictures of Masika up until now, Masika has had far more work done than her titties. And it's obvious because Hazel E, and this is why people need to stop skin bleaching so much. Because one thing, her lips don't move. Yeah, they don't move. She done probably had too much Botox put in them. Because when you look at like the first season of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood with Masika, now, baby aside, I know when women get pregnant and have children, their bodies do change. So I will give her that. Now, when you look at her body from like Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, the first season, Masika didn't have all of that. Now she had the lips. She sure as hell didn't have all that butt. And her boobs and stuff, they weren't that big. And then her skin was a little bit darker than what it is now. Because another thing, I know they have to do it just because, but people don't get that when you bleach your skin so much and you try to put makeup on, we don't know the difference. Because Masika, over the years, I know that by her having her baby, I will say that when you have a baby, I've never had a baby before, but I know from seeing women and knowing about childbirth and stuff, that when women get pregnant, their bodies grow, hips spread, boobs get bigger because of the milk and all that kind of stuff. So I will give Hazel E that. She has changed physically because of her baby. But her butt to me does not look real. Like she did some type of video. I didn't even care to listen to it because she did like a whole Friday remake where she portrayed herself as Miss Parker from Friday with the Daisy Duke shorts on, bending over, watering the lawn, and she don't even look black and light. She looks right. Yes, her legs look great, and that's what I noticed too. So yeah, like when you look at her butt, Masika looks like she done had her butt sculpted or she just done had something done to it for it to look like that. And in her stomach, whenever you see these Instagram models or actresses or whomever, like have these paper flat stomachs, 9 times out of 10, they'd have had some liposuction done. Cause I'm like, ain't no way you could exercise and eat that much fruit and vegetables and drink that much flat tummy tea where your stomach look like it don't have no organs, no spinal column or nothing in there. I'm like, that's surgery. So yeah, Masika, she done had a lot done. Her nose too. I believe that Masika has had her nose done too. So yeah, Masika is saying boobs, titties, titties. I done had only my titties done. No, you done had a whole lot done. And with the skin bleaching, yes, that's obvious too, because her face was like light skin Keisha complexion, and we know light skin Keisha, she's light brown skin, whatever. But her legs was like a really like pale looking gray. And a lot of times when people use that like bootleg skin bleaching, or when they use the skin bleaching that has like a lot of those chemicals in it, it makes your skin like paper white. And then when you go out into the sun and your skin starts sucking in all that sunlight, since you done stripped all the melanin out of it, because black people and other people of color, we have natural melanin in our skin, which is really like our natural sunscreen. So yeah, we can get skin cancer and all that like the white people do, but our color protects us. And we, still put baby oil and sunscreen on, but our melanin helps us protect us from the sun too. So when you do that skin bleaching and it's stripping all that melanin out, it's gonna come out like a really gritty looking paper. And that's how her legs look. So I'm like, yeah, Masika, you lying about that. Now, Masika was, getting on her about her, oh, I heard you just had a baby, congratulations. And then she says, well, how far along are you? Masika made herself sound stupid because how you going to say, congratulations, I heard you just had a baby, but then you going to ask how far along are you? Like you just said she just had the baby, so why are you going to ask as if she's still pregnant? Now, a lot of people was talking about Hazel E and Masika. You know how people do before something launches about people. Hazel E was pretty much, she just had baby weight on. Yeah, she gained weight when she got pregnant with Masika. Yeah, that's what I was pretty much going to say. Because it's like, Masika, you know good and well. And then Hazel E eventually said that she was 8 weeks postpartum. And Masika, she said this, she didn't even say this in the episode, but I remember she said this in some of the clips that was airing throughout the week. And she was pretty much saying, like, how is she still fat? She's a fat ass bitch and all that kind of stuff. And she says, how is she still fat? When I was 6 weeks postpartum, I was snatched. Well, Masika, you probably had a mommy makeover like Black China did or some of these other women do after they have children. And Hazel E probably figured she didn't want to do that. But yeah, Hazel E, you can tell from knowing how fit she was before she got pregnant and looking at her now in this episode. I mean, it's just baby weight. I mean, that's all it was. It was just baby weight. And I think they kind of wanted her to be pregnant or whatever, to pump up ratings or whatnot. But I'm like, anybody could know by looking at her that she's got baby weight on her. Now, Masika was talking about Rosebird. Y'all know Rosebird, that little boy that Hazel E was talking to and whatnot, who said he was like a Crip or a Blood. Now, I do believe that Hazel E did hire him to be her boyfriend. Because ain't no way no little boy going to be a man to somebody like Hazel E. And I'm not saying Hazel E. No, Hazel E's not pregnant. In this whole conversation thing, people made it seem like she was pregnant. But no, she wasn't pregnant. That was just baby weight she had. She wasn't pregnant. But Rosebird, I could tell he was like a pay for play boyfriend type of thing. And it eventually came out that he was gay. And I remember when everybody was saying that, they were saying stuff like all gays go to hell. And then they had to backtrack from saying that because at the time when they were saying it, that's when the country had legalized, you know, gay marriage. And so they had to backtrack, clean all that up. BC, where can I watch it for free? The only thing I could tell you is if somebody is able to strip that episode and put it on YouTube before YouTube snatches it down and kind of mix in some weird looking sounds to get you to play it so they won't get caught for copyright, and that's, you know, you can watch it. But Zeus, I don't know if Zeus is going to drop this episode for free because it was so highly anticipated, and I know they want to make their money. And I will say that this is not the whole conversation of Hazel E and Masika because there is a part two, and I'm gonna get down to the bottom as to why there's a part two. Yeah, that guy Roseberg or whatever was paid. Yeah, that wasn't her real boyfriend. Kimchi, they do all kind of yeah, they do. She didn't get her skin bleach. It's makeup and tan. No, I disagree with you because the way Masika's legs look, that ain't no tan. And her makeup, like I know makeup and skin bleaching and things like that because I've done bleaching before and I've worn makeup before, and I could tell the difference. Whenever you bleach your skin like that, especially when you use skin bleaching products that had those high hydrochloride and iod and alcohol based ingredients, they strip your skin of all its melanin. Because if you look at some of these model pictures of Masika, Masika looks like a gray piece of paper in a lot of her pictures. That's not tanning. Tanning darkens your skin. And makeup, ain't no way somebody gonna spray makeup all over themselves and put clothes on, risking getting their expensive clothes messed up with makeup. She bleached. She did. She bleached. And so, moving along from that, with Roseburg, she called that out. Then Masika tried to say, "Oh, Hazel E, you know, you pretty much do plastic surgeries for free because you want to get publicity." And she says, "No, you look." And she was saying like, "Hazel E, you prostitute. You pretty much went to Dubai to get, you know, screwed by men out there that you pretty much get screwed for money, and that's why you were in Dubai, and that's why you got into your accident and everything." K Foster, the link. There is no link to the episode unless you're subscribed to Zeus. Now, like I said, I don't know how Zeus is going to do this because they might put the new episode out tomorrow on YouTube to let people get a first look at the first episode. But if not, somebody might strip it from Zeus and put it on YouTube before it gets snatched down. Or you just may have to subscribe to Zeus. Now, Zeus is only $3.99, I believe, a month. So yeah, if they don't do either of those two things I mentioned, then you're just gonna have to subscribe to Zeus. Now, Masika was pretty much saying that's why you was in Dubai, blah blah blah, because you were out there screwing people for money and all that kind of stuff. And Hazel was like, "No, you're a prostitute. No, you're a prostitute. You're the one." To be honest, I'm going to have to be neutral in that conversation because with Hazel E, it's a known fact. Hazel E had a whole lot of self-esteem issues. She did. Because during the first season of Love and Hip Hop, they bullied her bad. From Masika to Young Bird to Tierra Marie. I mean, everybody bullied Hazel E. They was talking about her nose, her teeth, her body. And that's why she had this inflated sense of, "I'm important, I'm that bitch, you know, you can get me, blah, blah, blah." And so I feel like that's where that came from, Hazel E's insecurities. But when it does come to the prostitution in Dubai, I have heard that quite a lot. That a lot of famous people, and the reason why you see a lot of these black celebrities over in Dubai is because they have said they have this secret sex train or this secret prostitution ring or link in Dubai, and a lot of artists and celebrities go over there to either have sex for money or they get prostitutes from money, or they get prostitutes and stuff from over there. So with Hazel E, that could be true. Now, do you remember when she made a diss track on the City Girls? She is so delusional. Yeah, she made a diss track on the City Girls. Now, one thing I say, Hazel E can't rap for nothing. She cannot. Hazel E cannot rap to save her life. Hazel E has a good like hype man voice or whatever, and she does have a pretty look. But as far as writing, you need a ghostwriter. Like if you want to sell some music, you need a ghostwriter because writing music originally is not your thing. So with Hazel E and Masika with the whole prostitution stuff, I can, I could see that. I could see that. Her man is definitely gay. As far as her boyfriend, husband, I don't know what they are. She said that was her husband. She was showing the ring. I don't know. I don't follow Hazel E like that. I've known her to be with this man for about a year when I started seeing pictures. But it's like I don't know. I think, and when they were on marriage boot camp with Hazel E and Devon now it did come out that he's a mama's boy. He likes to get his way. When he don't get his way, he'll pop the shit out of it. And I could believe that because he could throw some bows. Because when he was dealing with Willie and his girl or wife on the show that he always cheats on all the time, and she and Hazel E got into it about Hazel E being all up on Willie. Like Devon, he about knocked his head off. So I could believe him popping somebody off, for doing something to her. And then he's been on IG Live saying things like, a lot of y'all men in my family need to stay out of my wife's DMs. That's why I don't fool with family now because of that. Then he was also saying, like, so what if Hazel E spoils me? I'll spoil her. She could spoil me if she wants to. But I kind of feel like Hazel E is 40 years old. In case y'all didn't know that, y'all could go online and look up her Wikipedia page or her bio page and see that Hazel E is 40 years old. Now, I did not know Hazel E was that old because I do remember that Tierra Marie was pretty much saying that on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, you're 34 years old, you're still trying to do music, you're still trying to rap, you can't rap, you look ridiculous. And at the time, I didn't really pay attention to her age and nothing like that. But yeah, Hazel E is 40 years old. I'm like, okay. Like, okay, I didn't know that. But Hazel E, to me, she looks good for her age. But at the same time, with all this reality stuff, and I feel like her looks is what's really saving her. Because by looking at her, you wouldn't think she was 40. But yeah, Hazel E and, her doing all this and stuff like that, it's crazy. Now, on the surface level, no, Nancy, she 35 years old. No, Hazel E is not 35. Hazel E is 40 years old. She is 40 years old. So, Hazel E doing all this mess and everything like that at this age is really sad. But on the surface level, I think Hazel E has always wanted a sense of family. And she's always wanted to be in a relationship and to have a child because I see a little bit of a correlation between her and Nicki Minaj because everybody, knows when it comes to Nicki Minaj and Kenneth Petty that their relationship is not real. I don't care what nobody says. Nicki Minaj and Kenneth Petty or Mr. Petty, that's not no real relationship. It's not. That's not a real relationship. Because with Nicki Minaj and all that, and I'm gonna get back to Hazel E and Masika in 1 minute. I just want to make the correlation with Nicki Minaj, we all know when Cardi B after Sheether, when Sheether came out, Nicki didn't know how to handle that. But when Cardi B came up, it's like Nicki was just like, wait, what's going on? Why is this girl coming out? Why is she blowing up? I got to do this. I got to do that. Then we had Chun-Li. Then we had Barbie Teens. Now, Chun-Li was a lot better, but she could have came a lot harder with her verses. Barbie Teens, she could have kept that. And then she came out with the oversized boobs and the oversized hips and the butt. And we all know she was trying to make a point because she was mad that Cardi B was coming in the scene and was surpassing her. And she hadn't even been in the game that long. Then when Cardi B started blowing up, she hooked up with, Offset and they got married and she got pregnant. And, Cardi B was saying, I'm young, I'm Caribbean, as Caribbeans, we believe in getting married and having families. So, that's what I want to do. And a lot of people have been telling me that I should wait until my career is over to have kids. She says, no, I want to have that now. And I feel like that hurt Nicki Minaj's feelings. Nicki Minaj has boasted and bragged throughout her whole career. I done had 4 dudes propose to me, 4 dudes asked me to have their babies. Well, why didn't you do it? You've had the money all these years and you've been known as the queen of rap. You could have had a baby in almost every era. You could have had a baby in almost every era of your career and you wouldn't even be this mad or this angry with Cardi B. And we all know Safari was like her boo. That was her boyfriend and everything, but she treated him like, a scum because he was the hype man and everything. And then she cheated on him with Meek Mill. I do believe she cheated on him with Meek Mill because as soon as they broke up, she like jumped ship with Meek Mill. But Safari, he done moved on with Erica Mena and they got a baby, so he ain't even think about Nicki no more. But yeah, with Nicki, it's like I see the same thing with her and Hazel E. Cause Nicki, I can't stand when people want to brag about missed opportunities. Cause Nicki, she said it a couple times in some of her songs. Like there's a song she did with Future called Rockstar, and she was like, rolling on my wrist, rolling on my wrist, and then she said like $1 million show out in India or something like that. No, she says I turned down $1 million show out in India. And I'm like, why are you bragging about turning down $1 million for a show in India? And Beyonce made headlines when an Indian couple in India wanted her to come out to perform at their wedding. Like, who does stuff like that? You want to boast and brag about missed opportunities, and now you almost in your 40s, and you mad that this new girl done came along and done took all her opportunities and every chance she had. like, Like Nicki, you did that to yourself. Ever since Bar 7 Nicki split, Nicki Minaj music was saying, no, it wasn't. Because Nicki, she lost her marbles when Cardi B came up. Now, I'm not going to make this a Nicki and Cardi B video, but, it's a correlation with that. Because that whole Kenneth Petty thing, it's a business transaction. Because the thing is, Nicki knows that by her being an older woman, I'm not saying older women can't get a man, because Nicki, she can get any man she wants. But due to her mean girl and bully reputation that has come out over the years since Cardi came up, it's put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And she done been with Nas, Safari, Meek Mill, and she was even going out with Quavo. And I think her and Quavo not working out kind of hurt her feelings because now he's with Sweetie. And so, and I feel like now she probably mad or probably in her feelings that her and Quavo didn't work out. And I honestly do feel like Nicki, she kind of smashed a lot of men in the industry too. And because that whole Barbie Dreams, song, I think that's what it was. I mean, yeah, Nicki probably did date, but I believe she smashed a lot of dudes in the industry too. And then in the end, when they didn't come to defend her, that hurt her feelings. But anyways, I feel like with Hazel E, it's kind of the same thing with her. Because with Hazel E, I think that, it's obvious that the way she was bullied and whatnot in the beginning of season 1, it hurt her. And that's why she had all the surgery. But I feel like now with her being with this, guy and her getting pregnant and having a baby with him and everything, I think, and it's kind of weird how people do stuff that's not authentic. They make it look so authentic on social media. Because when we see Hazel E and Devon on her Instagram page, and even on the show, they look like a real couple. And I think to an extent that, yeah, it was controlled a little bit by Hazel E. But I think that Devon does have feelings for her that are genuine. So I don't think that relationship is 100% fake. So going on with Hazel E, now here's the blowout, and here's why we have a part 2 of the conversation between Hazel E and Masika. We have a part 2 because you know how Masika thinks she's so much better and so above everybody. In that scene where you saw the reason why we're here is because you spoke of my motherfucking child, and when she threw the glass and all that kind of stuff, and security had to come in and block her. That was pretty much like the end of the conversation in this episode because you know how Masika do. I'm not breathing in the same space as her. I'm not sitting with her. She's going to have to apologize to me about what she said about my daughter. I'm not talking to her. She's fat. She's this. She's that. And then I felt like Masika, she just ruined the whole episode. I'm like, y'all could have handled this in the first episode instead of dragging it out to part two. But part two is that's where we're going to see with the ambulance and all the police officers being called, like we saw on Instagram, because they did show that. So yeah, Masika got mad through the glass and she had to go to the back and they had to calm her down and pretty much, get her together. And then, Hazel E, she was angry about it and she started crying and she had to go to the back. And then her friend, I know a lot of y'all had them friends sometimes that, is like the cheerleader, she's an evil bitch and, nobody likes her. She's a hoe and all that kind of stuff. It's like the friend, she was, okay, I get that you Hazel's friend, but after a while, she got annoying. I'm like, okay, be quiet. Like, for real, be quiet. Like, we understand you don't like Hazel E, da-da-da, but we know, just be quiet. Just be the friend. And and then it's like when they came in the back and when Hazel E was trying to get herself together and everything, she was trying to calm down. She went into the bathroom and Devon went in there with her to try to console her. And then the friend came in there and everything. And the makeup artist, she was trying to come in there too to touch her up. And the friend had to like, she didn't want to move. Like she didn't want to let her in there. And then she eventually had to move. And the makeup girl, she was like, I'm just coming in, just touch up her makeup and everything. I just got to get her underlines and stuff. And so, she went ahead and did that. So, yeah, that's pretty much what had happened. Then Masika did the big old, like, oh, I don't care about this girl. Oh, thank you, Nikki Post. Oh, I don't care about this girl. She's getting on my nerves and she's fat, da, da, da. And then when everybody calmed down and Masika got off her high horse, when she started making demands, like always, she came out to the conversation and stood behind the chair because she was like, I'm going to stand right here because she says, if I sit down, then I'm going to be inquired to hit you, or I feel like throwing this chair and cracking your head open and stuff. And Hazel E, and I kind of felt a little bad for Hazel E because Hazel E was pretty much, I feel like, in a way, she's like, what did I do? What did I do? And Masika is like, you know what you did, and I'm going to crack this chair over your head and everything. Then the episode ends and then they open up to like the new scene in the next episode. It's a whole bunch of fighting, cussing, bodyguards pulling people everywhere, running. And Masika, she was like, I can at least get it. She said, y'all tight with y'all security. She says, well, Love and Hip Hop, they give us a little time to jump and run. But she said, y'all right on us. And when it comes to them Zeus people, they may let a lot of stuff go on just like they did with the Real Black China show, but that man probably know that he black because Zeus Network is a black-owned show. He probably know, I'm black. I ain't trying to get sued by nobody in these nice little neighborhoods, so I'm going to keep my check and keep my crew. Where if anybody fight or get up, we giving all the bodyguards just jump up and block y'all any way we can. Y'all can scream. We can let y'all cuss. We can let y'all get naked and all that kind of stuff. But getting beat to somebody going to jail and all that, no. So I believe that's why their security is so tight like that. So, and then we move along to that episode. And you know how they like to chop up the different scenes with a whole bunch of screaming and hollering and crying and carrying on. And then based on the Instagram clip that I saw, why the police was called, they said that Hazel E and Devon and Masika got into it, and Devon had snatched Masika's wig off. And Masika, she went ballistic. She was like busting out windows. It was glass and stuff everywhere. Like it got violent. Like on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, they get crunk and they get, ratchet with the 1-2 piece and everything. But that throwing glass and shattering, like windows and all that kind of stuff, like that's serious. People can get cut, people slip and fall, blood, everything. No, I'm not lying, Yelena. Like, no. That's what was said. Now, Devon snatching Masika's wig, that's what was said in the Instagram video clips that came out when the ambulance was called and the police was called and everything like that. That's what was said. Now, we don't know until we see the episode. Hopefully, they don't edit that out. But yeah, so they said that's what happened. And then Masika called the police, and the police came down there, and to me that proves he loves Hazel. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think Devon, I don't think he playing too much with her. I think he actually loves her. And so, yeah, Masika was just angry and just mad. You know how she be reaching and pulling and jumping and stuff. Then they show Hazel E and Devon like outside, in the cars and stuff like that. And then they show Masika getting into like the ambulance with her finger cut and everything. And so, my whole thing with this, the conversation, I hate Masika for what she did. I'm like, girl, you are not Queen Elizabeth. Don't nobody care about you being mad and you being old and apology. Like, I think Hazel is his first love. I don't know. I don't know Devon's dating history like that. But Masika had that big girl talk in the beginning, throwing glasses and stuff, and they had the nerve to call the cops. Where they do that? I know. And then Masika, I can't stand because she did this mess on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood too at the reunion when she said Hazel E was talking about her child. Oh yeah, and I forgot the song that Hazel E supposedly did with Fetty Wap. Masika brought that up too. So yeah, Hazel E, I felt like she ruined this episode by her getting up, running to the back. Oh, I'm not talking to her. Oh, I'm not doing this. Oh, I'm not. I'm like, Masika, we don't have time. Don't nobody want to watch this conversation that's like 5 years old and about 4 or 5 elongated episodes. Like, just say what you got to say and just leave. Hit or throw something. Like, Masika, you just do too much. And then Masika even going stepping aside from the Hazel E predicament. Masika is messy. Masika is in the news so much for her little tweets and her running her mouth all the time. Nipsey Hussle, might I add, a long time ago, and this was before Nipsey Hussle. Now, I'm going to be honest, Nipsey Hussle was obviously famous before I even knew he was that famous when he died. But I do remember a long time ago that Masika had said something about Nipsey Hussle and Lauren London about them breaking up. And Nipsey got her, but he said, this is coming from the same woman having a baby with a dude that don't want her, but you on reality TV and I'm actually a rapper. He said he said something like that. So yeah, he got Masika. He got Masika good. And Masika, she just stays running her mouth on Twitter all the time. And I'm saying to myself, Masika, I'm like, this is why nobody really likes you like that. They probably like you because you're pretty, you got a big butt. But I'm like, you just have this real snobbish like kind of attitude. And this is the thing I don't get about snobby people. I'm like, if you want to be that snobby and that bougie and that sedity, why don't you stay in the suburbs? Why didn't you become a wife? Since you think that you're so big and above everybody, the whole baby mama thing, and that's a big debate now online with the whole baby mama stuff. Pretty on the outside, ugly on the inside, the white system. Yeah, it's just exactly why. And I'm like, Masika, if you think you're so much bigger than everybody, and Hazel E got that too, she was like, I'm married. I'm married. You're not. I'm married. And the thing is, I'm like, Masika, if you're so big and bad, then why did you get married to Fetty Wap, which you didn't want to? Or why didn't you find a husband after Fetty Wap embarrassed you? And then not only that, not Hazel E, Masika even got into it with Alexis Sky about the same thing. Because her and Alexis Sky, they was real hot because Alexis Sky was supposedly pregnant by Fetty Wap. Turned to find out he not the daddy. But yeah, she got into it with Alexis Sky about this thing. So I'm like, Masika, you losing big time with this. And I've noticed a lot of people that have this big and bad attitude, I'm better than you, they do the most for nothing. It's like you are so insecure and so beneath yourself that you feel like you got to put on this big attitude, this big bright blonde wig that don't match, and this big Versace dress on, and you just snoot your nose up. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. Like, I don't get it. Then moving back to the conversation that was had with Masika and Hazel E before it ended, and I forgot to add this in the beginning. she talked about the song that Hazel E had did with Fetty Wap. Now, one thing I will say, I do remember that song being on YouTube for a hot little minute, but it didn't stay on long. And the reason is because Masika even said this at the Love and Hip Hop Hollywood reunion that Fetty never did a song with her, that Hazel just stole the verse, and that since she didn't have it copywritten, they had to take it off of all streaming platforms. And they did. Because I remember the cover of the single was like it. I remember the background was blue, and this was back when Masika was wearing like that, like platinum blonde hair. She was on a motorcycle, and I remember Fetty Wap was like on the front. I forgot the name of the song, but I remember the single cover. So yeah, I remember that, but I feel like Masika was right in that aspect that Hazel E probably did do some little snatch and patch thing with that verse from Fetty, and she tried to sell it, and they caught it, and they had to take it off. So I do believe that Hazel E really didn't have a song with Fetty Wap like that. So that's all for the part one, episode one. Well, not really episode one. So that's pretty much it for the conversation between Hazel E and Masika as far as part one is concerned. But next Sunday at 8 o'clock, there will be a part two to the conversation. And that's where we pretty much see like the meat of the fight, the ambulance and the police and stuff being called. So yeah, we'll pretty much get down to the bottom of that. But hopefully Masika doesn't be overly dramatic and just drag this out into a part three, part four, and we could get the whole story and get the whole bulk of the situation in part two and be done with it. So I hope you all like this. Oh, see you next week. So I hope you all like this episode. Don't forget to like, leave a comment in the comment section, and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day.